There comes a moment in every life when the tide changes. You no longer reach out with trembling hands, hoping that someone will give you what you long for. Instead, the world begins to move toward you, offering doors you once thought were locked forever. That shift, from chasing to attracting, is not just a small adjustment. It is the single greatest transformation a human being can experience. Think about it. Every dream you carry in your heart is already seeking you. The harder you push, the further it slips away. But when you redirect that restless energy inward, something extraordinary happens. You create a current that draws opportunities, relationships, and recognition into your orbit, as if pulled by invisible gravity. Look at history. When J.K. Rowling stopped chasing approval and poured herself into her manuscript, the world eventually came to her. When Elon Musk focused on building undeniable value instead of persuading doubters, investors appeared. When Michael Jordan devoted himself to mastering his craft rather than proving himself in every game, recognition became inevitable. These weren't strokes of luck. They were the natural outcome of energy moving from desperation to confidence, from need to worthiness. Here's the truth. Whenever you beg for attention, for love, for validation, for a chance, you quietly announce that you don't already hold it within, and that energy, the vibration of lack, can only echo back the same. But when you build yourself, when you strengthen your own foundation, the echo shifts. People sense it. They feel magnetism instead of need. Consider the man who once sent endless messages that went unanswered. The more he reached, the more distant the connection became. But when he stopped pleading and started living, developing his health, career, and passions, suddenly others noticed. Calls came to him. Invitations found him, not because of games or tricks, but because true fulfillment radiates an energy that others cannot resist. The same is true in business. A desperate entrepreneur, knocking on every door, often finds rejection. But the one who focuses on refining their service, serving existing clients with excellence, and building authentic relationships, finds that referrals arrive naturally and doors swing open on their own. Why? Because value shines brighter than persuasion. And in academics, it's the student who abandons the plea for better grades and instead masters the material, who suddenly finds professors eager to recognize and recommend them. It isn't about chasing approval. It's about becoming undeniable. Every time you chase something, you send out a message, I am incomplete without this. But when you stand in your own strength, you radiate wholeness. And wholeness is irresistible. People are drawn to it in friendships, in love, in work, in every corner of life. The shift is simple, yet profound. Stop trying to convince the world you are worthy. Instead, embody worthiness. Live it. Show it in the way you treat yourself, in the boundaries you uphold, in the discipline with which you grow. That is when everything begins to flow toward you. Think of Oprah Winfrey. Early in her career, she wasn't begging for a stage. She was building her voice, her authenticity, her presence. And because she became the kind of person whose energy carried undeniable impact, stages came to her. She didn't run after opportunity. Opportunity was pulled into her orbit. This is not magic. It is alignment. It is the natural law of resonance. Like attracts like. If you vibrate scarcity, scarcity responds. If you vibrate value, value responds. The people you admire, the successes you dream of, the recognition you long for, none of these require begging. They require becoming. When you stand tall in your own development, when you stop asking life to give you something and instead start giving yourself everything, the world rearranges itself around you. The approval you once begged for becomes irrelevant because you've already built the foundation within. And then, as if by miracle, those who never noticed you before now cannot look away. That is the turning point. That is where attraction begins. Too often, we imagine that if we just try harder, send more applications, make more calls, push for more recognition, we'll finally break through. But in truth, that frantic energy sends the opposite signal. It communicates, I don't believe I'm enough. And the world, like a mirror, reflects that belief right back. Think of Steve Jobs in the early days. He didn't run around begging investors to believe in Apple. Instead, he and his team poured their energy into creating a product so compelling that belief became unavoidable. Or look at Serena Williams. She wasn't trying to convince the tennis world to respect her. She built a level of excellence so undeniable that respect became instinctive. This is the lesson. The more you depend on external approval, the less power you hold. The more you cultivate internal strength, the more the world begins to respond. Imagine a young artist. They post their work online, begging for likes, craving validation. The more they try to please, the less authentic their creations become. But the moment they turn inward, creating from passion, from curiosity, from love of the craft, everything changes. Suddenly, their art resonates. Followers arrive, not because they were chased, but because authenticity is magnetic. Or take a professional in the corporate world. The one who pleads endlessly for promotions often finds doors closed. But the colleague who focuses on delivering excellence, on adding value to every project, on building relationships rooted in trust, soon finds advancement offered without asking. Why? Because the universe recognizes contribution more than desperation. It all comes back to energy. Desperation repels. Confidence attracts. Scarcity pushes things away. Abundance calls them in. Think about your own experiences. You've met people who seem to radiate wholeness. They don't need anything from you, and yet you feel drawn to them. Their presence inspires trust, admiration, even curiosity. Now think of the opposite. Someone who needs constant reassurance, who pushes too hard, who clings. Instinctively, you step back. This isn't judgment. It's simply resonance at work. When you stop chasing and start becoming, you shift your entire frequency. And the shift doesn't just bring opportunities. It transforms the quality of those opportunities. Instead of receiving scraps, you begin to attract abundance. Instead of unstable connections, you draw solid relationships. Instead of fleeting chances, you create lasting doors. History is filled with these examples. Nikola Tesla wasn't running after recognition. He was absorbed in discovery. Nelson Mandela, during his years of struggle, wasn't begging for status. He was building an inner strength so unshakable that, when the moment arrived, he embodied leadership the world could not ignore. And here's the beautiful paradox. The less you pursue something directly, the more it flows to you. This is often called the law of reversed effort. When you're desperate for love, it hides. But when you become love, kind, fulfilled, self-respecting, relationships appear naturally. When you're frantic for wealth, it evades you. But when you build skills, deliver value, and cultivate confidence, opportunities for wealth seek you out. Take the job seeker who fills out hundreds of applications with anxious energy. Rejections pile up. But the one who steps back, sharpens skills, creates a strong portfolio, and builds genuine connections, often lands the perfect role through an unexpected introduction. That is the law in action. Or the person longing for companionship. They cling to apps, accept half-hearted attention, and end up drained. But when they redirect their energy into fitness, learning, travel, building a life they love, something remarkable happens. They radiate self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency is profoundly attractive. Here's what's vital. You already hold within you the seed of every dream you desire. You don't need to chase. You need to cultivate. You don't need to beg. You need to build. The writer Paulo Coelho once said, "When you want something, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it." But the conspiracy only begins when your energy aligns with what you desire. You cannot vibrate lack and receive abundance. You cannot vibrate insecurity and receive love. You must become the match. So, the question is not, how can I get others to give me what I want? The real question is, how can I become the kind of person who naturally attracts it? That question changes everything. It takes your focus off what others hold and places it back into your own hands. It transforms you from a seeker into a creator. And once you make that transition, chasing ends forever. Because you realize, the world does not reward those who beg. It rewards those who become. Pause for a moment and reflect on this truth. People respond to energy before they respond to words. You can speak the right lines, send the right emails, wear the right clothes. But if your energy says, I am unsure, I am needy, I am incomplete, that is what others feel first. This is the psychology of attraction. Human beings, without realizing it, are finely tuned instruments of resonance. We sense confidence, we sense desperation, and we move toward or away based on what we feel. Think about the leaders who inspire millions. Nelson Mandela radiated dignity even in captivity. Princess Diana, with her compassion, drew the world closer. Cristiano Ronaldo's relentless confidence makes crowds rise in admiration. None of them were perfect, but their energy carried conviction, and conviction is magnetic. Now, compare this with everyday situations. The salesperson who pressures you into buying often pushes you away. The one who listens, understands your needs, and stands firm in the value of their product makes you want to purchase. Why? Because confidence feels safe, and safety invites trust. The same dynamic shapes relationships. The friend who constantly seeks validation eventually drains you. But the one who enjoys their own life, who shares from fullness instead of emptiness, becomes someone you love to be around. The partner who clings suffocates. The partner who supports while maintaining independence creates a bond others admire. Confidence, real confidence, is not arrogance. It is quiet power, the strength of knowing you bring value without needing to demand recognition. And this is what makes people lean in. Consider the world of creativity. An artist who creates only to please trends may gather temporary attention, but the one who creates from authenticity leaves a legacy. Think of Frida Kahlo. Her art was raw, personal, and unapologetic. She didn't paint to win approval. She painted because her soul demanded expression. And because of that, her work continues to resonate decades later. Or in sports, Usain Bolt didn't beg the world to notice him. He trained, he prepared, and when the moment came, his performance spoke for itself. Excellence doesn't chase applause. Excellence commands it. This is why chasing rarely works. It reveals a belief in lack. It signals to the world, I don't have it, and I need you to fill the gap. But attraction works differently. It says, I am whole, I am valuable, and I offer something worth connecting to. And the world responds in kind. Look at your own interactions. When you meet someone who radiates peace, confidence, and purpose, you feel uplifted simply by being near them. They don't need to prove themselves. Their presence is proof. That is the kind of energy that opens doors without knocking. And here is the liberating truth. You can cultivate this energy. You don't need to be born with it. You don't need to wait for luck. It is built through habits, choices, and self-respect. Every time you set a boundary, you strengthen it. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you expand it. Every time you invest in your own development, you increase it. Confidence is not a gift, it is a skill. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Think of Thomas Edison. He faced thousands of failed experiments before inventing the light bulb. But each setback only fueled his belief that success was inevitable. That belief became energy, and that energy kept him moving forward until the world lit up. So, ask yourself, what energy do I bring into a room? Do I radiate scarcity, signaling that I need others to complete me? Or do I radiate abundance, signaling that I bring something valuable to the table? Because that energy will determine everything, from job offers to relationships to the kind of opportunities that appear. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing anything from anyone is the moment people begin offering you everything. The less you require, the more you receive. The less you cling, the more flows to you. Why? Because people are naturally drawn to those who lift them, not those who drain them. This is the essence of attraction. It is not manipulation. It is not trickery. It is alignment. And when you align with worthiness, value, and confidence, you no longer chase the world chases you. It's one thing to understand the psychology of attraction. It's another to apply it to the daily grind, the career, the business, the goals that shape your future. This is where theory becomes power. Look around at the most successful individuals across industries. They didn't build their legacy by begging for recognition. They built themselves into people who could not be ignored. Jeff Bezos didn't persuade the world to believe in online retail before it was ready. He poured his focus into creating undeniable value, and eventually, the world had no choice but to follow. The same holds true for wealth. You cannot chase money endlessly and expect peace. Desperation for money only multiplies financial struggle. But when you commit to building skills, mastering your craft, and creating authentic value, money becomes the natural result. It seeks you because you've become a source of solutions, not a seeker of favors. Think of Warren Buffett. He didn't beg markets to reward him. He developed patience, discipline, and a keen eye for value. Because he built himself into a person of financial wisdom, wealth flowed to him over decades like a river following gravity. And this principle is not limited to billionaires. It applies to you today. Picture two job seekers. One floods every company with applications, anxiously hoping for any response. The other steps back, invests time in learning new skills, creates a portfolio of projects, and builds genuine connections in their field. Who do you think employers notice? The second candidate, because value shines brighter than desperation. Now imagine two entrepreneurs. One offers constant discounts, lowering prices in a frantic attempt to pull customers in. The other focuses on quality, on relationships, on delivering exceptional results. Which business thrives long-term? Always the second. Customers sense value and commitment. They trust it, they return to it, they tell others about it. This is the secret of attraction in business. You don't chase clients, you create excellence so magnetic that clients chase you. And here's a key truth. Discipline is what turns attraction into reality. Attraction is not wishful thinking. It's not sitting back and waiting for miracles. It's building habits, making choices, and sticking with them long enough for the results to compound. Consider athletes. LeBron James doesn't just rely on talent. He invests relentlessly in training, nutrition, and recovery. That discipline becomes energy, and that energy becomes attraction. Teams want him. Fans adore him. Opportunities surround him because he embodies consistent excellence. Or take someone in the creative field. A writer who dreams of success but never writes will always chase opportunity. But the one who writes daily, who edits, who studies the craft, who grows with each page, inevitably creates work that attracts recognition, not because they begged for it, but because they built it. Discipline multiplies attraction. Every hour you spend improving a skill, every choice to prioritize growth over distraction, every commitment to your own development creates a magnetic field around you. And here's what's liberating. You don't have to master everything at once. Small, consistent actions are enough to create momentum. Read for 30 minutes a day. Exercise for 20 minutes. Practice a skill for an hour. Over time, these choices compound into mastery, and mastery attracts opportunities that shortcuts never will. Remember Marie Curie. She didn't win 2 Nobel Prizes because she chased acclaim. She immersed herself in discovery, driven by curiosity and discipline. Recognition was not her pursuit, it was the inevitable outcome of her relentless commitment. That's the formula. Discipline plus value equals attraction. But let's be clear, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every step you take toward building yourself shifts your energy. Each decision to grow says to the universe, I am becoming. And the universe answers with doors you could never have forced open by chasing. So ask yourself today, what am I building within me that the world cannot ignore? Are you creating skills that add value? Are you strengthening your health so you radiate vitality? Are you cultivating emotional intelligence so people feel safe and inspired in your presence? Because every investment in yourself multiplies your magnetic power. And the opposite is also true. Every moment wasted in desperate pursuit weakens it. The choice is always yours. You can keep chasing, scattering energy with little return, or you can commit to building, focusing your energy into disciplines that make you stronger, sharper, and more complete. And here's the reward. While chasing yields exhaustion, building yields compounding results. The person who reads daily becomes wise. The person who trains daily becomes strong. The person who creates daily becomes undeniable. That is the path. That is the work. That is how attraction becomes reality. If attraction shapes careers and wealth, its influence is even more profound in relationships. Love, friendship, and connection are mirrors. They reflect back the energy you bring into them. Consider this. The person who clings to attention, who anxiously waits for replies, who begs for commitment, is not truly communicating love. They are broadcasting fear, and fear cannot create lasting connection. But the individual who stands rooted in self-respect, who offers care without attachment, who gives without losing themselves, that person naturally draws deeper, healthier relationships. Look at history. Mahatma Gandhi wasn't admired worldwide because he begged for respect. He embodied integrity so completely that people followed him out of inspiration, not obligation. In the same way, when you embody love, wholeness, and respect, you invite relationships built on inspiration rather than need. Think of someone you've known who is genuinely complete within themselves. They didn't require constant reassurance, yet being around them felt uplifting. Their calm, their confidence, their kindness created an atmosphere where you wanted to stay. That's the magnetism of wholeness. Contrast that with someone who continually asks, "Do you care about me? Do you need me? Will you stay?" Eventually, that weight pushes others away, not because the person is unworthy, but because desperation drains energy. Healthy people are drawn to other healthy people. This is why relationships thrive when both partners bring fullness, not emptiness. A musician can't play harmony with a broken instrument. In the same way, relationships can't flourish when one person seeks to be completed by the other. True connection comes when both already feel whole, and together they create music richer than either could play alone. Consider Michelle and Barack Obama. Their bond inspires millions because each pursued growth individually, while also supporting one another's journey. Neither one begged for validation. Instead, they invested in becoming people of strength, vision, and character. Their relationship grew from fullness, not from need, and that fullness made it enduring. Friendship follows the same law. A friend who constantly asks for validation may receive sympathy, but not loyalty. Meanwhile, a friend who brings joy, curiosity, and genuine care becomes someone others naturally want to keep close. Attraction in friendships is built on reciprocity, not desperation. And here's a truth many overlook. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every relationship you'll ever have. If you treat yourself with respect, others learn to do the same. If you abandon your own needs, others will follow your example. Your standards teach the world how to treat you. This is why self-love is not selfish. It's essential. When you cultivate inner peace, you bring peace into your relationships. When you build confidence, you bring security to your partner. When you live from abundance, you create friendships that uplift rather than drain. Take the example of Maya Angelou. She carried herself with such dignity, such presence, that people naturally gravitated toward her. Her relationships were not built on begging for attention, but on mutual respect and shared inspiration. That is the kind of connection attraction creates. And here's the paradox of love. The moment you stop searching frantically for it, you begin to radiate the very qualities that draw it to you. When you stop settling for half-hearted treatment, when you raise your standards, when you invest in your own joy, suddenly love arrives, not as a rescue, but as a celebration of who you've already become. Think of couples you admire. They aren't bound by desperation. They're bound by mutual growth, shared vision, and the joy of choosing each other freely. That's the kind of love that lasts. Love that begins not in need, but in wholeness. So, if you want better relationships, start by becoming the kind of person you would love to meet. Become interesting by pursuing your passions. Become trustworthy by honoring your word. Become radiant by living fully. And as you do, you'll notice a shift. People who once overlooked you begin to lean in. Those who once gave crumbs of attention fade away. And those who match your energy, those who are whole, strong, and loving, appear naturally. Because here is the unshakable law. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And the beautiful truth is, you can always choose to become more. More confident, more kind, more disciplined, more complete. And as you do, your relationships will rise to meet the person you've become. Love does not arrive when you chase it. It arrives when you embody it. We've explored the turning point, the psychology, the discipline, and the way attraction reshapes relationships. Now we arrive at the essence of it all, becoming the source. The greatest realization any person can have is this: everything you're seeking is already within you, waiting to be developed. Success is not outside of you. Fulfillment is not hiding in someone else's hands. Love, opportunity, recognition, abundance, they are all reflections of who you choose to become. Look at the figures who've left an undeniable mark on history. Leonardo da Vinci didn't wait for permission to innovate. He became a fountain of creativity. Mother Teresa didn't wait for the world to show her compassion. She became compassion itself. Nelson Mandela didn't wait for freedom to be granted. He cultivated freedom in his spirit until the world mirrored it back. They didn't chase. They built. They became. And you can do the same, because the law is universal. Who you are inside determines what you experience outside. If you cultivate scarcity, you meet scarcity. If you cultivate abundance, abundance flows. If you live from neediness, you attract people who confirm that need. If you live from self-respect, you attract people who honor it. This doesn't mean life will be without challenges. Challenges are inevitable. But here's the difference. When you chase, challenges feel like walls. When you become, challenges become stepping stones. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every difficulty becomes fuel. Consider Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed experiments didn't stop him because he wasn't chasing approval. He was becoming an inventor. Consider Malala Yousafzai. Even after facing unimaginable hardship, she didn't beg for recognition. She became a voice for education and equality, and the world could not ignore her. The pattern is clear. People who stop chasing and start becoming transform themselves into energy sources. And energy sources are impossible to overlook. Here's the practical truth. Every moment you spend building yourself compounds. Learn a skill today, and it will serve you for decades. Take care of your health today, and it will reward you with energy every day of your life. Choose discipline today, and you create momentum that carries into tomorrow. Self-investment is the only investment that never fails, because it multiplies across every area of your existence. Contrast this with chasing. The energy spent begging for attention drains you. The hours wasted on envy diminish you. The pursuit of external validation leaves you fragile, because it depends on what you cannot control. But the energy invested in yourself makes you unshakable. Confidence built on discipline cannot be stolen. Skills developed through practice cannot be taken. Wisdom earned through reflection cannot be erased. That is why self-focus is not selfish. It is the foundation of every lasting success. When you become stronger, you bring more to your relationships. When you become wiser, you bring more to your work. When you become fulfilled, you inspire others to rise as well. And here is the ultimate transformation. When you stop needing from others, you begin giving to others. You shift from draining energy to supplying it. You become the kind of person people are drawn to, because you add value to their lives simply by being who you are. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't demand that people see him as a leader. He became the embodiment of vision, courage, and persistence. And people followed. His energy was so magnetic that it moved nations. This is what you are capable of. You don't need to chase admiration, recognition, or love. You need to embody the qualities that make those things inevitable. So let this be the closing call. Stop asking life to give you what you lack. Instead, commit to becoming the kind of person who creates, attracts, and sustains it. Become disciplined, and opportunities will trust you. Become kind, and relationships will find you. Become confident, and recognition will follow you. Become abundant, and wealth will flow to you. This is not theory. This is law. Who you are is what you attract. And every day you wake up, you hold the power to choose. Will you spend your energy chasing, scattering it in desperate pursuit? Or will you invest it into yourself, building a foundation so strong that the world has no choice but to notice? The choice is always yours, and the rewards of choosing to become are limitless. Because when you build yourself, you don't just change your life. You change every life you touch. You don't just attract what you want. You radiate what others need. You become not a seeker, but a source. And when you become the source, life itself becomes drawn to you.